How do you feel about math? Do you enjoy it? Do you find it frustrating? This week's guest has developed a system of assessing math mindset among both students and teachers, and she offers guidance on how to improve math mindset so that students and teachers can get over that common hurdle of having a negative math mindset. You are not going to want to miss this conversation. I am excited to let you know that I am hosting a free online event called Math Madness for upper elementary math teachers. If you are listening to this before March 27th, 2024, you still have time to register to get access to tons of free resources, insider details about exclusive sales, and chances to win prizes in our free Facebook group. If you are not already a member of the Facebook group, now is the time to join, because not only will there be prize giveaways happening in there throughout the event, but I will also be posting updates about the event directly to the group members. You can join by searching Upper Elementary Simplified on Facebook or by clicking the link in the show notes and requesting to join that way. Either way, we would love to have you. Registration for Math Madness will be open from February 18th through March 26th. To get registered for the event, head to teachertechstudio.com/register, and that's Register. I will also link that in the show notes for you. You can find that link by going to the episode description in your podcast player app or by heading to upperelementarysimplified.com/podcast. I hope to see you there. Welcome to Upper Elementary Simplified, the podcast where busy and overwhelmed teachers find thoughtful ideas to get students engaged in meaningful learning experiences. Hi, I'm Danna Rodebush, former 5th grade classroom teacher and founder of Teacher Tech Studio. I'm here to share practical tips and strategies that will help you grow as an educator. If you are a tired upper elementary teacher searching for ways to cut down your planning time while boosting student engagement, you are in the right spot. Are you ready? Let's simplify. I'm excited to introduce my guest this week. Rachelle McCracken is a K-8 math coach who has worked in a public school in Virginia and international schools in Brazil and Guatemala. She enjoys supporting teachers and students by building their confidence and mathematical mindsets through learning math conceptually. Let's welcome Rachelle to the show. Rachelle, welcome to the show. Please tell my audience a little bit about you and how you serve the education community.
Hi, Dana. It's so nice to be here. I started teaching in public school in Virginia, and I was working primarily in a lower elementary school there. But before that, I actually was really interested in getting my degree in math and working with middle school and high school for math. So I always kind of had this like draw towards math. Um, and and I always loved teaching math the most. But after my experience in public school in Virginia, I decided to move to Guatemala, and I worked for 4 years there. And I really just loved the international school world. It was just very eye-opening to get to experience other cultures, and there was a lot less, like it was just much more relaxed about testing, and it was more fun, I think. So then I stayed in the international world and moved to Brazil next, and that's where I am now. And I've been here for 5 years. And actually, after working, so I had worked primarily in lower elementary for the first 8 years of teaching. Then I moved to third grade when I came to Brazil. And now I'm the math and science coach for kindergarten through eighth grade at my school. And I think it was just very apparent to leadership at the school that I was very passionate towards math when I arrived. And so yeah, that's kind of my brief synopsis of my background and how I got to where I am now.
That is very awesome and super interesting to hear about international schools because I have absolutely no experience whatsoever. So I think that that is really, really interesting. And I'm super excited to have you here today to talk about math mindset. So, would you talk a little bit about how you learned about math mindset and why mindset is so important when it comes to math?
Yeah, so right when I got my job with as the math and science coach, we actually had a principal at our school who was very, very passionate about math as well, and she was almost like my mentor or guide. And so I had taken it was actually at the time it was a free professional development course by Joe Bowler on her website called ucubed.org. And I think she was kind of piloting this professional development at the time. Now I think you have to pay for it, but it's very worth it. And she goes into a lot of the research about mindset, about growth mindset and fixed mindset, a lot of the research that was done by Carol Dweck. Um, and then she also, the course I had specifically taken was all about data and data science. And so she was talking a lot in the course about collecting data about your students' mindsets because she goes into a lot about growth and fixed mindset, but then like ties in that data piece as well. So that's when I started thinking about, okay, well, maybe we can survey our students here at our school and see what our current mindsets are. And not just the students, but also the teachers too. And so because we realized that, a lot of our students' attitudes towards math really are reflected from our own attitudes as teachers. So this is where it kind of all stemmed was, when I got this new position and started taking some professional development around it.
That is really interesting. And I know that you have sent me the link to that professional development. So I will go ahead and put that in the show notes for the listeners to check out. And I
Yeah.
do totally agree with you about how our students' mindsets really does stem off of our mindsets as teachers. So making sure that we are having a positive mindset ourselves is super, super important. So, do you have a strategy or a process for learning about that initial mindset of a student or a teacher?
Yeah, so like I said, I kind of started thinking about, well, we could ask survey questions to our students and just get a sense of where they're at. So I created a survey that's we have separate surveys for different divisions. So I have a K through 2 survey that's with, pictures and a little bit easier for the language is a little bit easier for younger students to understand. And then I have an upper elementary survey as well that you can do. It's available as a Google form or a written form. And it's just questions that are like pretty straightforward. How do you feel about math? Do you see yourself as a creative problem solver? Some more questions are, I like math problems that make me think hard, or I give up easily. So it's just these questions that kind of help students reflect on what they what their own attitudes are towards math. And then the other thing that was really interesting too, so that was kind of get the initial mindsets of your students, but then also it was really interesting to get the initial mindsets of our teachers at the school too. Um, and the results, like there was a big range of results, but there were on the teacher survey, one of the most important questions we asked was, how do you feel about math? And there were some that answered, I love it, or it's okay. And then there's some that were like, I learned to love math as a teacher. And others that are just like, no, I hate math. And we started off with maybe like 3 or 4 teachers or maybe I shouldn't say 3 or 4, probably like 2 or 3 that started off with some pretty negative mindsets towards math. And as a coach, I think it was really special to go through this process because I work more primarily with the teachers. So they're almost like that's almost like my student group. And it was really kind of beautiful to see how my relationships, especially like with one or two teachers in particular, uh, helped shift their mindset to more of a growth mindset and more of a positive mindset. One of the teachers in particular was um, with a fixed mindset, and she would often like try to tell me, well, like, yeah, you say this is, backed by research, but I could find research that disputes that, or I could find, like anything that kind of goes against what you're saying. And then over time, she kind of started warming up to this idea of like teaching math conceptually, and that actually there's a lot of problem solving and pattern seeking and creativity, and there's a lot of beauty in the subject. And now she went to another school, and she's actually like the math lead teacher at that school. And she's trying to convince those teachers like that why it's so important to teach math conceptually. And it was just like really cool to see some of the growth, even just in like a couple cases.
That is really cool. So like it totally came full circle for her. That's really, really neat.
Yeah.
So whenever you mentioned that the teacher actually learned to love math as a teacher, that is totally me. I was the kid who hated math, was terrible at math, and then as soon as I started teaching fifth grade, and I had to basically reteach myself fifth grade math, or actually in this case, it was more like seventh and eighth grade math. I learned to really love math. So I can totally relate to that teacher.
Yeah, I think that's such a beautiful thing, right? And that's almost the whole point of growth mindset, is that we are all capable of change, and that, we do not have to hate math for our whole life. we can we can grow, and we can see it a different way. And so I just think that's like the whole point of this. And I hope that that inspires other teachers as well.
I love that. And I know that your survey probably gets both students and teachers to really think in a way that they never have before and to really like reflect about their feelings, whether they're good or bad feelings. I think that's really interesting. So I know that you have worked with students ranging from kindergarten through eighth grade. So, what would you say are the biggest challenges when it comes to building a math mindset in the different age levels of kids? And do you have different strategies that you use with the different age levels?
Yeah, for sure there's differences between, a kindergarten student and a seventh grade student. And actually, Joe Buller talks about this as well a lot, that, middle school girls especially are at risk of having more fixed mindsets or having low confidence in math in particular, just because of like, I think a lot of various societal um, expectations for boys and girls. And so it's been interesting collecting this data over a course of many years and seeing how one cohort of kids kind of their mindset sets do shift, and it's not always positive. um I started noticing, especially around upper elementary, like third, fourth grade, fifth grade, that the confidence does drop a little bit. And so I think that there does need to be different strategies for different age levels, like especially lower elementary too. I think that kids still see math as being really fun because it is very hands-on, and they're working with manipulatives. And as you get older, sometimes that goes away a little bit, even though, ideally it wouldn't, and that we would be modeling all the time. But yeah, so I think like as far as strategies go, I think that there needs to be some quite a bit more of like intentional intervention almost for upper elementary or middle school when it comes to addressing mindset. Um, I would definitely like start with just looking at your own class and the results that you see. And um, if you like, there's a variety of activities that I have some resources for that you could try out. Like, there's I have like a free math autobiography where students can talk about their math identity and who they are as a mathematician. But I also have like for lower grades, they can think about what is my math superpower and like just thinking of like what is it in math that I'm really good at, focusing on some of those positive elements. For upper grades, actually, I really love this idea of learning about mathematicians that are famous, that have made some important uh, innovations in math. So I like have a resource where it's a mathematician of the month, and it's focused on a diverse group of mathematicians that are modern mathematicians as well, so that kids can kind of see themselves as a mathematician or identify with other mathematicians. So I mean, there's a plenty of resources out there, or different activities that you could try with your kids. So yeah, there's just a lot of different resources out there that you could use, various activities depending on your grade level and what you think would be appropriate for your age group.
Very cool. Very cool. I love the idea of your mathematician of the month. I think that that is a really good way for kids to see math in a different light. And I know that your mathematician of the month resource is one of our MVP products in our Math Madness MVP library. So that's exciting to have that. And so you have discussed the importance of math mindset and how you go about helping to build a positive math mindset. Now, I would love to hear about how this work has actually impacted your school climate.
I think that it just puts some more focus on mindset by having the survey, and by reflecting on the survey. It puts it on the front of teachers' minds, because as teachers, there's a million things that we're wanting to focus on at any given point in the year. And so I think it's like really helpful to have this just be a part of um your routines. Now, like I said earlier, like I definitely did see a difference in at least the first 3 years that I was doing this, with teacher mindsets towards math. And like I also said, like how big of an impact a teacher's mindset could have on their class of students. Like I truly believe that, kids want to, humans want to feel belonging. They want to be part of their class community, and they want to, identify with things that their teacher like. And so if your teacher loves math, like it's naturally going to kind of wear off onto the kids too. And I did see some more enthusiasm towards math, with this new shift on focusing towards mindset and conceptual understanding, and seeing, pattern seeking as well, a lot of the mathematical practices that we know so much about. And as I referenced earlier, there was the teacher that said she hated math and was constantly trying to like teach it in a very traditional and methodic way. And then she kind of had a realization that actually it can be a really fun dynamic subject. So yeah, you can really just see that there's a significant difference in teachers' mindsets towards math when there is a priority given to mindset.
Absolutely. I love that. Okay, so do you have any book recommendations or resources that you would recommend to help teachers learn more about math mindset or that will help them implement mindset work in their classroom?
Yeah, to learn about math mindsets, I would highly recommend Joe Bowler's book called Mathematical Mindsets. She really breaks it down chapter by chapter, gives background on the research, and then helps you kind of visualize how that would look in school. I would also recommend her course, like I mentioned earlier, her courses. Another book that I found really helpful, that actually gave some really good actionable items that you could work on, is called Productive Math Struggle, a 6-point action plan for fostering perseverance, by John Sangiovanni. And that's where I got a lot of the inspiration for the bundle of math mindset resources that I have. So definitely take a look at that book. And then the final one that I would highly recommend is called Building Thinking Classrooms by Peter Liljadel. That book is like, that one might like disrupt your entire concept of how to teach math in your classroom, but it is really, really an interesting read, a really easy read too. And it gives some ideas on how to help your students become more deep problem solvers. So I would highly recommend all three of those books.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for that. So I may be checking those out myself, even though I'm not in the classroom anymore, but I will take a look at those on Amazon and put some links in the show notes to those so that they're super easy to find. So, what would you say to a teacher who is struggling with math mindset in his or her classroom, whether that is the kids not responding to the efforts being made, or even if the teacher themselves is the one struggling with mindset?
Yeah, I would tell that teacher to really think about and reflect on their own mindset first. So, like ask themselves, what is it about math that's really holding them back? Like, is it that they are thinking that math is boring or it's all about memorization? Like if that's the case, then I would just really recommend trying looking at it a different way and trying out some other resources that encourage like creativity and problem solving and pattern seeking. So one really easy to start is with a math routine called Which One Doesn't Belong. It's a pretty popular math routine at this point. It's been around for a while. But if you haven't heard of it, you can easily just Google it. There's lots of free resources out online. There's a whole website called Which One Doesn't Belong, actually. But an example, I actually have a few examples up on my Instagram account. Um, that has, okay, like this is more probably for lower elementary, but honestly, like getting kids talking and using the language of math can be useful in any grade level. Okay, so I have this image here. It's actually on my Instagram account, and it's got pictures of four shapes. So I've got a rectangle, a trapezoid, rhombus, and a parallelogram. And so one student might answer and say, okay, the rectangle doesn't belong because it's the only one that has right angles. Or somebody else might say, oh, the trapezoid doesn't belong because it's the only one that has one set of parallel sides. Or maybe somebody will say the rhombus doesn't belong because it's like the only shape standing on the pointy side. And, even as I'm talking, you can see like some of the kids might use more mathematical language like parallel sides, and other kids might call it like the pointy side or the pointy corner or something. But that's okay because it's all valid and everybody's answers can be accepted. And it's fun. It's fun to see different patterns and hear different explanations about with that communication piece.
I love
And
that.
then
That sounds fun.
yeah, there's another, it is fun. It is really fun. There's another math routine that I love called 3-act tasks. And this one is fun because it offers a little a little teaser as the first act, right? So they show you like a little bit of what's something that's going on, some sort of phenomenon, right? Like maybe somebody is pouring some liquid from a big bottle into a small bottle, and you see there's a bunch of small bottles on the counter. So then the kids start to generate questions. They're like, oh, well, I wonder how much liquid they could pour, like how many little bottles they might fill. They try to generate a question. And then in the second act, I think that's when they have to like create some sort of like, oh, some more information is given. So they might tell you, okay, the large bottle has 500 milliliters of water and the little bottle can hold 125 milliliters. So that they're just given some more information. And then they can start doing the math and trying to figure out, okay, well, let's try to calculate how many bottles it'll take. And then third act is when they actually reveal the answer. So it can be kind of exciting and fun for the kids to try to solve this mystery.
That sounds so fun. Anytime that math can be turned into a game or some type of challenge or puzzle, I'm all in. And I know that that is very engaging for kids too. So thank you for those ideas.
Yeah, so ultimately it's the joy that you admit towards math that would be reflected in your students. So if you're having fun with it and if you're getting excited about it, like your kids will too. And I think that really just like brings it back to that mindset piece, right? Like it's all coming back to that. And I I just can't, I don't think there's something more important in math than having that growth mindset.
Absolutely. I love that. Okay, well, please go ahead and tell my audience where they can find you if they want to connect with you.
So I'm on Instagram. That's really my main platform that I'm active on. So if you want to reach out to me there, I would see it and respond. My handle is at MIS, like Miss underscore McCracken, MCCRACKEN. I'm not super active with posting these days, but I do still like check on it. So yeah, feel free to follow.
Okay, very good. And I will link that in the show notes as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about your student identity activity that you have available for free?
Yeah, so this is a really like it's a really simple yet very deep and complex activity that you can do with your students. It's great for upper elementary. It's a little mini booklet where you can create an autobiography about yourself. The student would do that. So there's, some example, there's some prompts that the students would answer, and then they can fold it up into a little booklet. But some of the questions that they might answer would be, what is your earliest memory of math? What is the easiest or hardest or most interesting math topic? What is a positive or negative memory you hold in math? It's really simple. You can print it and fold it. And then you can really get to know your kids and maybe what some of their joys or fears are towards math.
I love that. That will be very insightful. So I will definitely link that in the show notes. And I will also link your math mindset survey forms that you mentioned earlier. All of that will be in the show notes for this episode. And Rachel will also be with us at Math Madness, which is coming up in just a few weeks. So be sure to check the link in the show notes to get your free ticket for that. And Rachel, it has been such a pleasure chatting with you today. I appreciate you so much coming on and talking with us about math mindset.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Upper Elementary Simplified. I hope you are able to take away something useful that will help you grow as a teacher. I do have a quick favor to ask before you go. If you are enjoying the podcast, please let me know by leaving me a review. It really does make a difference because reviews impact search results, which helps me to expand my reach to other educators. Plus, I love to read my listeners' comments. Until next time, keep life simple.